Long day lay me low. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Get to Know Your Creator. I am Jason Bascom. My co-host will be here shortly. She might be having internet issues. Angela Curry, the great Angela Curry. We got a great one for you today. Very psyched about this one. I've known the man for a couple days. Been on his channel a couple times. He's a good dude, handsome man. Got a great book out there. I'm psyched. Everyone, Jimmy Reyes.
Hey,
what's going on, man?
Man, look at this. Starting out with the compliments and you know,
I mean, all but two of them. But
yeah. I was like, whoa, we have known each other for a minute, man. It's been a while.
Been a while, man.
Yeah.
I didn't remember where we first met. I know it was on your channel. I think I was promoting Absolute, maybe, and I hit you up. It was either Absolute 1 or 2.
I started Page One Comics and built up pretty decent audience back then, and I thought, I'm gonna share it with new creators. And I remember you came on, man, and I was like, got to meet a lot of cool people.
It was a lot of fun, man, and you had gangbuster panelists and stuff like that. And I used to lurk even before I came on. I was in your chat and stuff like that. So, because you were doing inking tutorials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was pretty cool. So,
I learned right away, man. When you got these strange little stalkers, it's better to get them on the good side. Get on their good side. Befriend them.
Yeah, that way they don't sneak in your house at night and steal hair from your brush.
Like Angela Curry, I was like, you know what? That's a stalker I'm scared of. I better befriend her.
You should be.
So I was like, yeah.
Yes, she lurks everywhere. Are you there, Angela? Can we hear you? Marco.
Now you're muted. Yeah.
Now you're muted. You're muted, Angela. See, usually I send her the link ahead of time, and I did. But she might have been out at the market.
Yeah, see, Angela. Now, when you're criticizing me in the chat and give me a hard time for streaming, see how it's not an easy thing to do. When you're streaming, takes skill.
Yeah.
No, she's always cool.
No, Angela's cool, and she's here to obviously help with the chat. Everyone knows. Jimmy, did you know I'm blind?
Yeah. What?
This is going to be a lot of fun.
You can't hear us.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I think I can.
Now you can hear us, Marco Polo.
I can hear you now.
All right.
I like the sign language though. That was great. I was like, you can't
hear us. Yeah. Hey man, I'm blind, not deaf, so I don't really know sign language.
I thought you guys hung in the same circle, the blind and the deaf.
No, that's like the Capulets and the Montagues, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about Richard Pryor and Gene Hackman? They not Gene Hackman, Gene Wilder. They made a movie
Gene
together.
Wilder and Richard Pryor. Good movie too.
Technically, Jason's next book is going to be for the deaf, though.
Yeah.
This is no lie. It is a silent comic, so
no lettering at all.
Well, there's thunder crackles. That's about it.
Oh,
But,
are they in Braille? I mean, what do you mean? It's
no. It's for the.
Oh.
Well, the deaf can read.
Please
so
do them in Braille. That would be so amazing.
Oh, that'd be so difficult. We got a chat popping off right now to come see Jimmy. Who we got in the chat, Angela?
I got Shelby's here for me. Unlike you guys.
He's lying. He's here for my sexy beard. We all know it.
Yeah, he's got beard in him.
He does.
Hey, Fly Feline.
Yo, what's up, Feline?
And then Luke is in the house.
Nice. What's going on, everybody? Make sure you hit those like and subscribes, and also share this out, please. Get eyes on Jimmy. Get eyes on Jimmy. Like we were saying, we've known each other a little bit, and this is your first time. I mean, Angela's been in your chats, obviously, but this is the first time you're meeting her in a stream. And we will say hi to everybody as they come in. We got
Arthur Brown
is
in the house as well. Hello, Arthur.
Hey, Arthur Brown, the Uncanny Kodak. Man, I've never seen him before. So
yeah, he's been
so cool.
He's been around a while. I think he's back from the Couch Doodle days, dude.
Wow.
Remember when Frege had Couch Doodles?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's where I first came in.
Wow.
Was watching Couch Doodles. I didn't even know about anybody else at all. Period. I was just because I was watching Frege on Instagram on his live reels, and then he started posting, gonna go live on YouTube. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be cool. And so I started watching him. That was
What's
back in
YouTube.
I knew what YouTube was. I'm not, but no, I started. That was like 2019, like mid 2019 to late to fall.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
dude. So that's when I first started watching Frega. How did you
Wow.
initially start? Like, what was your initiation into this indie comic sphere? Like, there's a bunch of indie comics. What was your kind of like
Oh,
headway into this?
I think, man, I was I think I already had my YouTube channel. I've had it since like 2014 or something like that. Or
Yeah,
20,
well, I've had mine since 2010. Yeah, I just never did
yeah,
anything with it. Yeah.
and it started to grow, and I got interested in live streaming. Saw people live streaming and thought, hey, I want to start doing that. And then CG just like found me, just started popping around in my chat, and it was Comic Book Bob that I met first.
Oh, I like Comic Book Bob. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he knows everybody pretty much. He's like everywhere, helping all the CG streams. And then I started inking a book called The Replicator for Rob Arnold. Started ink- started inking that for him, and then me and his penciler just clashed. Like we couldn't mesh, man. And I remember Rob was so disappointed when I was like, I don't think I can work out on this book. You
Hey, I
know?
mean, sometimes the teams just don't work out, and you just have to sever the ties. You know, it's
Yeah.
best to do that sometimes and be like, at least you're upfront and honest about it, rather than because the confliction would show through in the end product. So,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
don't want that.
I'd rather give him the disappointment, early on rather than later on. His backers are
Right,
like, "What's this? This two different styles. They don't go together."
right.
And then I started inking for Malin. I think 2019. I think that was when I was
Oh wow, is that
inking for
early?
him. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh wow,
yeah. And then
cool.
I was working on my book Dragon Rage, and it came out in 2020. And then I just kept inking for Malin. He kept throwing me more work, just like,
Yeah, why say no?
yeah. So I was like, man,
Please
Seriously.
stop giving me money.
took a break. And then I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to ink up till this year, this point, and after that, I'm going to go back to Dragon Rage.
Yeah. Well, you want to
And
do your own thing too. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, man. Like I'm not a freelancer. I'm not an employee. I want to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Like it's like I could work my rest of my life for a company, making them money, and then in the end of it all, I'm gonna get old and die. And what did I have? What did I leave
Right.
my family?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
Meanwhile, I helped build up these companies. And so I thought, you know what, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for myself. I'm
Right.
gonna own something. I'm gonna create an intellectual property, and then the goal is to license that intellectual property. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
And
And that's the liberating thing is working on your own IP in general
yeah,
of itself because that's yours. Like, you can be like, hey, you can tell yourself what to do and be okay with it. If somebody tells you what to do, maybe you may not like it, but you kind of
yeah,
have to do it because you're getting paid for it. So it's that there's that freedom in having your own IP,
yeah,
your own, and plus it's your creativity. It's you.
yeah.
Like you want to. You're a creative person in of itself. You want to put your own creativity out there, so it's nice to have your own
Yeah,
thing.
I want to be my own slave driver. I don't want
I hear
anyone
you.
else. If I'm going to be whipped, it's going to be by my own hand.
And don't
So,
you, dude? Are you like me, where like, let's say you like, I don't know, you like you're watching TV or you're watching like a Netflix series. Next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. You're like, I didn't draw anything today. Do you feel
oh,
guilty? Like even though people are like, yes, you should take a break now and then, but don't you feel guilty if you don't get anything done artistically?
I am my biggest critic, and so I really don't watch much of anything anymore because I have a strict schedule
That's
now.
not true though.
Wow.
Recently, you've been picking up a lot of 4Ks.
Oh yeah, but I'm not watching them. I mean, I've been collecting them. Yeah,
You've been
because
collecting
because
them.
eventually, I mean, and honestly, like this is true story. I was hanging out with 80s Made Consumer, right, and he's telling
Everybody
me all
goes
about this.
subscribe to 80s. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a cool guy, and
Yeah.
cool guy.
he's like, "Hey, you ever seen 4Ks and 4K stuff?" And I was like, what's the big deal about 4K? He kept talking to me about it. So then Anna and I were over at Best Buy, and I see this TV, and I'm standing in front of it, and I'm like, wow, like the colors, double rainbow, It was awesome, and so I spent the money, got this new television, and then I started buying a bunch of 4K movies. I ordered like maybe 40 at a time. Like
Oh, wow.
just went in all in, got a bunch of them, and then I found out after the movies arrived, you have to have a 4K player
Yeah.
Don't watch
Of
them.
course. That's how they get you.
Yeah,
You know?
that is how they get it. Yeah.
I was like, man, so, I was like, what are DVDs going for these days? Like $2? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, let me go on. I'll order
You're
the
a little out of the loop, Jimmy.
Yeah, 4K player, not a problem. I'll order that. Man, those things are expensive. I might as well.
Yeah.
I should have gotten a PlayStation 5. Like I did. It's the same. I paid the same price, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know PlayStation 5 played them.
I think PlayStation 5, just maybe off topic, like, weren't they recently hacked?
Oh,
There's something going on a bit ago about PlayStation Network getting hacked again or something like that, or PlayStation 5's getting hacked. I can't remember. I think they've resolved the issue though. But I heard about that.
Okay, good.
I heard about that.
That's
I think. I don't know they resolved it. I think.
well, nobody's hacking my 4K player, so I doubt
True.
it. So
exactly.
I guess,
And there you go. So it's
Good
good that you didn't
choice.
buy a PlayStation 5.
yeah,
Good choice. Right?
I did.
Plus,
I'm good.
if you buy the PlayStation 5, you also have to get the one with the drive in it, which is more expensive, but also
$100 more. Yeah.
Then you're also going to be like, I could play video games.
Yeah,
And-
but I don't really play video games. I still own the PlayStation 4 with like a billion games. I just buy them and collect them. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the 4K movies. I'm buying and collecting them. But
there's eventually like, okay, and recently you had some health issues and stuff. So sometimes like something may occur though. Let's say you sprain your wrist, you can't draw.
Yeah.
At least you got a stockpile of like movies to watch or something you can then, while you recover.
Well, that's true, and you're right. Actually, that's what I did during that time when there were times I couldn't even leave the couch. I would just like laying back on the couch. And so Anna and I got into watching the 4K stuff. And dude, I will tell you, like, you there's horrible movies out there. Like you'll watch a movie and you just go, oh my God, the movie's horrible. But in 4K, there's no horrible movie out there, dude. They all look amazing, dude.
Yeah, dude, because I try to watch every one of 80's videos because he has fun content and he just shows the videos. They're cool, but like he keeps bragging about like, oh, 4K is so awesome. I'm like,
Yeah.
You realize I'm visually impaired, so it's like I don't know if they're that good for me. Like if I were to like sit there and be like, oh, it's so dope, but I'm sure like it for like regular human beings, like it's amazingly gorgeous. And like you even get mad though. You're picky because you get mad when you're on a live stream and like we were showing your inks and you're like, oh, you're not at 1080p.
No, I'm like, ah.
So I mean, I get it. I want my art to look as best as it can. But that's when it prints, that's when it'll happen. And so that's just Shelby. I don't have to worry about that.
Garbage.
I don't know.
funny.
Like there is nothing that is horrible in 4K.
Garbage Pail
Like,
Kids is a good movie. How dare you?
Fanta's here too.
What's up?
A lot of Fanta. Fanta's here.
Oh,
Hey.
hey, what's going on, Fanta?
Wow.
Good to see you.
Fanta and
Everybody,
Feline.
if you're watching also on Facebook and you don't want to listen to any of this, you want to check out the book, it is pinned to the top of the chat and in the description below. So, if you just want to go ahead or if you're watching on the replay, please go ahead and back Dragon Rage, everybody. That is why we're here. And we're here to get to know Jimmy a little better in his 4K clarity obsession. But no, like I said, I get it. I want my art to look as good as it possibly can when you're on a thing. And so how did you, because you started off you as an inker, so like I know your history and I know kind of how you got into comics, but let's go through that real quick, how you initially were introduced to comics in general, because I mean your story's a little different than everybody else's.
Oh yeah, I mean I grew up very poor. I have a large family, a lot of brothers, and a sister. And so there just wasn't anything available. I mean, I literally played with old rubber tires, sticks. We played hide and go seek.
You touched grass. Yeah.
I went out there, climbed trees. I mean, whatever was free. I just went out. We went out there and we did that. And there was like I lived in a neighborhood where everybody had a big family, so there was just a plethora of children. Like we were infested with kids on my cul-de-sac. And so that's all we did, and nobody had anything. There were no video games. No one had anything other than like Monopoly board game or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you had that, you were the envy of the neighborhood. If you had old beaten up donated Monopoly board.
Right.
But so it wasn't until I was about 13 years old and my sister adopted me, and I moved on up to the east side.
Ooh, look at you.
And so my sister married a gentleman, older gentleman, who's doing very well. owned his own business. So I moved into a neighborhood where I went to a high school. Well, I mean, I moved in first when I was in middle school, but when I got to high school, they had a directory with everybody's first, last name, and phone number. like they trusted people. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
you're right. Yeah.
You give me your address? Oh, wow.
Sure.
Because I came from a neighborhood where you would go like, you would say like, hey, what's up, Jose? And they're like, which Jose? No, Lopez. I'm talking about Jose Lopez. Why you using my last name, homie? What you got? Who you talking to? Who you talking to? Why you want to know? You know? And that's how I mean, I literally grew up that way. And it sounds like I'm being racist, but I was spot on. You know, that's a spot on reenactment.
Yeah.
And so you get beaten up, man, for saying somebody's last name. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in a neighborhood where, you know, where like these guys were like, we had a couple of Erics, and people would ask like, which Eric? And you give their last name, and they're like, oh yeah, that one, you know. And
right.
And we had the directory, and these kids had cars, tons of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, things you're just not used to.
Yeah, and yet I'll be honest though, like I grew up in the really ghetto part of.
And that's the thing that people don't realize. Like you don't use the first names. That's why a lot of people had like nicknames and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
they were
refer to their last names. You refer to them as like, you know, Shorty or something like that. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, there was a Shorty. That's why
it was like, probably you, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it was crazy. I wasn't even named Shorty. Like that was weird. Like I was like, you guys aren't even getting this right, you know? Like,
it's like a big guy named Tiny. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, he's a big guy, and you're calling him Shorty. But we, you know, and looking back, I realized that when I grew up in the ghetto, I never heard one complaint from those kids. We never complained because like you don't really know you're poor. You don't know anything different from that life, and you just make the best of it. But when I grew up in a fairly wealthy neighborhood later in life, oh my God, these kids had nothing but complaints and just were upset with their mom and dad. Mm-hmm. You know, like they were just so angry with them. You know, like, damn it, Mom, I didn't want the Nintendo. I wanted the Sega Genesis. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Take this back, you damn, you know. And I was like, oh my God.
Right, yeah.
So a buddy of mine, he was in a D&D, and he played a bunch of video games, and he collected comic books. And I think we were getting ready to graduate. I was about junior in high school at this point, and he just shows me a bunch of comic books. So I would be hanging around. He was collecting Infinity Gauntlet. He was so excited about finishing that off. Guardians of the Galaxy. He had a bunch of that. Bunch of Wolverines. And I remember the big thing back then was New Mutants hit 100, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, New Mutants 100 was Liefeld, yeah.
And so he was real big in all that stuff, and it didn't really appeal to me. And he would watch me as he was reading the comic book. I didn't read them. I was just kind of looking at the pictures, at the art every now and then, just kind of flipping through. And then I just started sketching some of the stuff, and he goes, "Oh my God, you can draw!" And I was like, "I don't know, I guess." I mean,
I guess so. If you say I can,
just and his mom was an artist, so they had art supplies all over the house.
Nice.
So yeah, she was a professional working artist, and so I would just, just doodling. And he said, "Oh my God, here." He gave me a comic book. He's like, "I love Wolverine. Can you draw this Wolverine for me?" And it was Arthur Adams, picture Arthur Adams with Wolverine with his claws out, and he's kind of running forward.
Yeah, I know the one.
So I copied it. I was able to mimic it exactly, and he went, "Oh my God!" He ran and showed his mom, and they're both like, "You should be drawing comics." And I went, "Okay." So,
wait, how old were you when this happened?
I was about 17, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 17 or around there, or 18. And she knew that I was being raised by my sister, and who she worked and her husband worked. They owned a business, and so they were always busy. And so I was always by myself. And so she just said, "Let me take you to the art store, and I'm going to buy you some supplies, like things that we think you might need for comic books." But of course, none of us knew what comic books are, how they're done.
Yeah,
so we bought
even as a kid, I thought they were drawn as the size that they were. You see them, you're like, "Oh, I just need 8.5 by 11 paper, and there you go."
Yeah, like a couple of Crayolas. I can do this.
You're good. Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Ballpoint pen.
Yeah, I was like, So they took me down the art store, a local art store, and she bought me over $100, I think, in art supplies.
back then, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
dude.
it's like $200 now, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe more than
something
that
like
with
that.
inflation.
Yeah,
but
maybe more.
she invested in me, bought me a portfolio, said you're going to need a portfolio to show your work, and I was like, cool. And I still have that portfolio today, and I still have
nice.
the repeatographs that she bought me. Back then repeatographs were like maybe like $35 for the whole set. Now they're like 135.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I went home and just like drew like crazy. I went through the art pad. She bought me a paper art pad to draw in because we didn't know what comic
Yeah,
artists
you didn't know
drew.
the size. Yeah.
So I went through it like 100 pages. Like, I mean, God, in a week. I mean, I was just drawing and drawing and drawing. And then I started to go to the office at school. I mean, I got in trouble. So I'd be sitting in the office, and while I was waiting there, I got the idea, hey, there's a photocopier right there with reams of paper.
Nice.
So I walk out with like, a whole ream of paper I stole.
Did they have your phone number and your address too, right?
Oh yeah, they had it all in the directory.
It's in the
and they're like,
directory. That directory.
But I got away with it. I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not condoning, theft of people here, but
which a good cause.
Yeah, I was like, it was an investment. The school invested in me. They just didn't know it. So I took the ream of paper and I started drawing through that, and I was just keeping all my drawings in a folder, and I still have some of those drawings. I'm gonna have to show them one day. I've been saving them for a video. I want to make a video where I show.
Yeah, I would do them as a video.
Yeah, please, that'd be awesome.
And then I had a collection of all my drawings. They were all done on paper. And I was about turning 19 years old when I was about to be a father. And just got married and I was like, I need a career. I need to work somewhere. So it was my first wife who, she was the one that had the courage. I was scared. She called around places and set up an interview at Antarctic Press.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're super excited. Back in the 90s, there were no girls in comics. It was a sausage fest, total sausage. No beans.
There were a couple. Like you got Louis Simonson
and
stuff like that. But you had a couple, but generally it was all dudes.
Yeah. I mean, Anicetti on Daredevil at the time probably, but nobody. I mean, it was very rare, and there was no female at Antarctic, at all. And so she set up the interview for me. They were excited about it. And we go and we get there, and they start interviewing her. They start talking to her, and she's sitting there with my portfolio. I took the portfolio, but it was all drawings on paper that I kept in a folder inside the portfolio because I didn't know how to do it. Yeah. And they were just they were just raving all about it, how wonderful it was, and they were giving her compliments and everything. And then when they finally realized it was me, they all got so disappointed. Everybody walked away. From the waiting room, all went back to their computers and their desks and stuff. And the only one that stayed there was Ben Dunn. Looks at me and he goes, come back with me. And so I follow him down a hallway, and my wife follows me down the hallway, and there's a bullpen. It opened up, and there was a big bullpen in the middle, and everybody had their desks there. So she stayed there, sitting there, because some of the guys were like, hey, come see this,
Yeah, check this out.
Yeah, they want to show off all their mangas and their art to, a girl.
To the girl,
yeah. So Ben Dunn and I go past the bullpen all the way to the back is his office, and he had a huge office. And I go in the office, and I mentioned once before to you guys, I think, but I go in his office, and he has leather masks and that.
Oh, that's right.
That BDSM stuff and like the leather bustiers and
you need references, man.
And I was like, okay, and he's like, hey, and he moves some of it over, throws it off, and there's like a little ottoman.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah, like it's nothing. Like, let me get this out of the way. Like no explanation. Like this doesn't need to be explained. Puts it over the side. And so I go, well, you got to hear it at the right time, Henry.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah,
good to see you.
It's got good. Just kidding.
So
BDSM.
So BDSM. I sit down, and he's going through my portfolio. He says, "This is really good." He goes, "Come over here." Come to my desk. And I'm 19 years old. Ben, I think, was in his 30s at the time, and so I get up and I'm trusting this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I could have been another not Me Too movement or whatever.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I didn't know, right? I was
Yeah,
naive.
no, yeah, especially with the decor of the
Yeah,
office.
the decor that was in there and the decorations. I was like, whoa. So I go and I walk up to his drafting table, and at the time he was drawing a comic book called Warrior Nun Ariella.
Yeah.
And he had magazines of BDSM and leathering whips and all that stuff. And I guess he had ordered some, and he never explained, but I just later on. Oh, this was 1991, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she came
Reference
out
of
in the early
time.
90s.
And but he never explained through the whole time that I was there that was a reference. Like he just never touched the topic.
If you know Warrior Nun, you'll know why.
Yeah. I later, as I got to know them, I was okay, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, so he drew over my drawings, and then he sketched on different papers, and he showed me a couple of stuff and gave me some tips. And then I was like, oh, great. I mean, I thought I was just going to get a critique or something. And he turned around and said, hey, okay, I got a project for you. Can you draw the Guyver? And, I was like, yeah, the Guyver? I love the Guyver.
Always say yes.
Wow.
Always say yes.
She sounds hot.
Yeah, she sounds hot. It's my favorite character, my favorite female heroine.
Yeah, I love her.
And he was like, he's like, yeah, so draw a cover, of the Guyver, and you could basically just do anything as long as it has the Guyver on it, primarily the Guyver. And I was like, great, awesome. And he hands me artboard, Bristol board. I had never seen this. I didn't know what it was for. Like, I was like, oh, I thought this stuff was done on paper. He's like, all right, draw your rough layout on paper. Take a couple of these, and when you're ready to do the art, you do it on this artboard. Because he saw that I was drawing all on photocopy paper.
On the photocopy paper.
So he sends me, gives me all the artboards and everything, and he sends me on my way. I'm walking back out. My ex-wife, my first wife at the time, surrounded by they were like
yeah,
following her around everywhere,
It's the unicorn, man. They see a unicorn.
I even had to sit for. I had to sit for a few minutes and wait for them to finally, let her go,
Right.
And so we leave, and she's like, how'd it go? And I was like, oh, my God, I got a job. I'm excited. And she's like, great. What's the pay? I was like, I don't know. Man, I didn't ask. She was like, all right, well, you got a project. So I was like, yeah, he wants me to draw something called the Guyver. And she was like, cool, great. And what is that? And I was like, I have no idea. No idea. So she... As we were getting ready,
and if you're watching, this is pre-internet, kids. Like if you're watching out there and you're like 20, this is before you could Google things. So.
Well, I mean, they had the internet there at the office, but it was before.
Right, but this is before
I had no home computer at the time.
Early 90s, no.
Not everyone. I still had my typewriter,
Yeah.
And so we're getting ready to exit, and we're getting ready to walk out the front entrance, where the secretary would sit. And they overhear the conversation, and one of the guys, I think his name was Doug, and Doug said, hey, there's a comic store just down the street. It's called, I think it was King Arthur's Comics. He's like, it's King Arthur's Comics right down the street. Go there, and you can get the Guyver reference there, Which, by the way, at the office, they had a billion mangas and tons of Guyver. They could have given me one. They didn't know if I was coming back,
True. Very true.
They're like, they're like, this
kid ain't gonna,
this kid ain't gonna steal my manga, So my ex-wife and I, we go to King Arthur's Comics. We walk in, the nerdiest kids are in there, and as soon as we walk in, my wife said the same thing that she said when we walked in at Antarctic Press. Woo, the smell. Because back
there is
then,
an aroma.
It was a different kind of collector, It's very earthy. Very earthy.
Yes,
in there.
very, very earthy.
So we asked the kid, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a comic book. And I had already forgotten the name because, after like 20 minutes, my brain already, it was a bit of a drive. We go to the counter, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a comic book. It's called like Geyser, something,
Geyser.
And the kid just goes, and he did the nerdiest laugh, and I'm not exaggerating this. This is really the kid. He does this laugh, and he goes, and for some reason, he looked over his shoulder, and he had to include the chubby kid next to him.
Yep.
And they all run over, and they go, what is it again? Say it again. And I go, Geyser? And it's a comic book, and they And they were not embarrassed at all with the pheromones. Yeah. Yeah. We'll say it's that creative pheromones.
Sure.
Come on
We'll
now.
go with creative pheromones.
Yeah. And so, I better stay closer to my camera here. But Jason doesn't notice that I've become blurry and my background is.
Yeah,
is
you look
focused.
the same to me.
Yeah. Let's see, it's supposed to focus in my eyes.
I
There
don't
you go.
know. All you people under 5 foot look the same to me.
You look just as blurry. Yeah. So they finished laughing at me and stuff, and that was my that's my introduction to the comic world. And to be honest, it hasn't changed. I go on Kings, and all the nerds are still laughing at me. No, I love you guys.
The big nerds. Big nerds.
The big
and I mean their waist size is giant. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they're still teasing me for not knowing all the comic references.
Dude, but see, this is the thing. Like people see the comics all the time when I'm streaming. I've collected comics for decades. I can't count how much stuff I've forgotten. Like I've forgotten so much stuff. But that's why, like I said, I was first introduced with Couch Doodle. Dude, Frege, he's an endless pit, a well of just knowledge. It's stored.
Yes.
I don't know how he did it. How he just stores away all those little. That guy who inked Hulk number 249 on page 5. I'm like, you're a beast, dude.
Wow.
So I don't know how people retain it because Thor was my jam growing up. I've read so many Thor books. I can't tell you half of them. I just can't. And it's just my memory just flips. It's just not there. I'm an old man.
Well, they say the first thing to go is memory, but apparently it's your vision beat memory. So
vision.
Memory's
the eyes
not
are
true.
attached to the brain, so I think this is just leading its way to my mind.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, you started off at Antarctic Press. Then is that where you stayed, or did you branch out? Where'd you go from there?
I did a couple of covers and penciled ink a couple of covers, and they really liked the inks that I did, and they didn't have an inker there, and they wanted to branch out to more Western comics because they were doing a lot of manga or exclusive manga at the time. So they started branching out, and they hired a couple of people to do more of a Western style, and they couldn't ink their own work, and they saw, well, Jimmy's inking his own work, and I didn't really know how to ink, and so they said, hey, they just started throwing me ink work, and that's how it started. I just started inking with those repeatograph set that my friend's mom bought me, and I was inking with that for quite a long time. And then I started to spend more time at the comic store, and for me, like Frege, like I'm the Frege of Image Comics. Like I can tell you everything, every artist, everybody, where they started, what studio they started with, what book they started with. I was a big Image fan. Like to me, that's my. Everybody goes back and says, oh, I remember when the first Thor, or they're trying to hunt down the first Uncanny X-Men because they loved Marvel and they grew up with that. But I was introduced and grew up with Image.
Well, and you came in during the 90s. I mean, and to be fair, I kind of did too. Like late 80s, early 90s, Image was a different beast completely because you had all the top tier artists like saying we could do it ourselves. The stories may have been lacking, but the art was phenomenal. As artists, that's what we were looking for. It was the candy we wanted.
Oh yeah.
So Image was like the place to be and the thing to talk about. I mean, you can't forget like Pitt, Wildcats, like Jim Lee, all of them, Youngblood, Spawn, the Max is my jam. So yeah, I mean, you had all these like different obscure titles, superheroes and fantasy and just oddball stuff. Like it was fantastic. And so. So you were like picking up the Image books, or did you apply? Like what?
I bought everything Image was putting out, early Image days, and I loved it. I loved everything that they were doing, and I didn't even know because I didn't have any reference. So I didn't know that Wildcats was just X-Men, Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah, exactly.
Cyberforce was Uncanny X-Men. I didn't know that, and Brian Murray's when he was doing that superhero book. Superior or something like that, or Supreme. I didn't know that was Superman.
Yes, that was obvious.
I didn't know any of that stuff because I had no reference. Before Image Comics.
Right.
And
I came in late.
Yeah, I came in late, and I was picking up everything. And I guess like when I'm on King's Ethan's stream, and he'll call me like a fake geek girl. He'll tease me about because I don't know Marvel DC stuff, and I'm like. I'm like, hey, I didn't read the comics. I just bought them for the pretty pictures, which is
Exactly.
true because I bought Image comics. Nobody read them.
Nobody really read. And if you did, you just really weren't retaining that story. You were just like, oh, that panel looked dope. That's what you remember. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I studied the art, and I think that's why my art is where it is right now, is because I just focused and dissected everything that the artists were doing. But what did affect me and hinder my work was that, and I think why I didn't go into penciling too early, is because I wasn't reading the comics. I didn't really understand the storytelling of it, but I could do the pretty rendering and pretty poses and stuff,
Right. Well, that gets us into inking, because a lot of people, especially if you're not in comics or even if you're just reading them or whatever, you see penciler and writer, and you're like, those are the stars. It's like the inker. They think he's just a tracer. Like most people do. Most people think, oh, inker, he's just going over the lines with a blacker ink and copying the whole thing. Yeah. Now, and to be honest, when I was collecting, I thought that way too. Before I got into everything, once you actually start the process, because people know I ink my own work, because there's no way, I don't know if anybody could even do it with my stupidity, but there's a lot that goes into inking. There's like pen pressure, there's depth, there's how do you shade it, how do you cross it, do you fill in total black, do you just cross it, like how do you go about tackling if you get a penciler's page and you see it, let's say it's a tight layout, do you try to finesse your own flair into it, because every inker has their voice? So how do you tackle a page when it comes to getting one from a penciler?
I truly believe, because I mean, coming from the image days and getting to work in a studio, I love the very crisp, clean, detailed style of inking, which is we would use a crow quill, a 102 mapping pen. And that would allow us to get really nice, fine, clean lines, which a brush is quicker, it's faster, but it can't provide, you can't do the type of detail work with a brush that you can really get with a quill. I mean, a quill can definitely go in much finer. And so I would do that, but I was always told that inkers need to bring something to the table, Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, we're going to invite you to the party, but you better bring a bag of chips. We want, we don't just show up empty-handed, man. Don't just trace my work, Right. And so that's, what I was taught. I was taught textures right away.
Yeah. And like we have a few artists in the thing. We got Luke in the chat. We got Shelby in the chat. Even Shelby, he'll even say, he'll ink it, but he's going to add his own little flair to it. So don't ask him to just ink something, because Shelby's a phenomenal inker and a phenomenal artist in his own right. Same thing with Luke. Luke will use a Raphael brush and he'll get some of the cleanest, smoothest lines I've ever seen produced. And that takes a light hand, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is some of the tools. It's you have the microns out there and stuff like that, and even then, if you have if you're using just a micron, like a 0.05, there's so many different lines you can get with that.
You can sculpt your lines. You can
you can chip away, and there's more than just tracing when it comes to an inker. There's way more to it. An inker can break a piece. Look at the early Jack Kirby stuff. Some of it was just mutilated. Look at Secret Wars, dude. Luke was doing a Do You Even Read with ink spots on Secret Wars, and Mike Zeck pencils. Mike Zeck's phenomenal. We all know who he is. If you don't know who he is, go check him out. Google him.
Yeah.
But anyway,
he was on Punisher mostly.
Punisher, amazing work. But when they got to the back of it, there's bonus content, and they saw the pencils. Dude, the pencils were insane. They were so good. So the inker just annihilated that whole book. The whole thing is just this is you could tell it's not Zeck's best work. You're like, why is that? And if you look at the pencils, it's it really is insanely good. The inker just mutilated it. And that's where a great inker can make or break a piece. And a lot of people don't really understand that. I mean, you're more than just an inker, obviously, because you have Dragon Rage now that you're penciling. But, you're sharing.
I was going to. I figured we have a visual while people get to see. This is what. It's not 1080p. Okay.
It isn't? What do you mean? I can't tell.
So this is. I accidentally put a blob on there. But so this is my work. And if I were to take off the inks on here, you would see what the pencil provided. In this case, Dave Finch, really tight pencils. but you still got to bring something to it. You can't just ink his lines,
and he's tight. Finch is tight.
I wouldn't know that. I've never known him that well.
Jimmy,
I'll stay focused.
So yes, stay here. We need you here, Jimmy.
We're good friends, but we're not that good of friends.
Yeah, no. Finch is a tight penciler. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very tight penciler. He's very skilled, and he understands using shape and form. So definitely inking a penciler who knows what he's doing when you're first starting out is going to be beneficial to you as an inker. And I got to learn a lot over him. And so if you can see, there's different lines and different things that I will provide and bring into the piece that Finch just didn't do.
Right.
No,
go ahead.
You want to stay true to the vision that the penciler had. So you want to kind of predict where you think the penciler was going to go with the piece had he had pen and ink or the ability to pen and ink it. So you try to just help get the artwork to that phase and stay true to the vision of the artist. But, you also, we all have our own style, and I want to bring my style of inking to the final piece.
And speaking of which, you probably have looked into stuff like this, like way back in the day, we're talking silver, golden, whatever, because you would have like four people a person on four different books. Yeah. They had to really loosely pencil stuff. So really it was the inker who was the one shining through. Do you like working maybe on stuff like that where it's like insanely loose pencils, like almost a layout, and then you can go in and add your own stank to it?
I honestly don't mind adding my own stank. As long as I'm getting paid for it, I'm like, if I got to do that extra work.
There's a lot more heavy lifting, I think, on the inker at that point, because like you said, you have to predict like what they might do. So you might be like, I think Kirby would actually make this kind of a line with this kind of a thickness, even though it's not even there because the layout's there. Because look at how tight Finch is as far as pencils go to maybe somebody who was penciling way back in the day. Look at Ethan. Ethan does just blue line. Forget about it. You know what I mean? So at that point, if you were to give you that and be like, I need you to ink this, I mean, you would have to pretty much put your own flair on it, as to opposed to being as guided as you are in a Finch piece.
And this is where, like you were talking about earlier, where you said, hey, I thought inkers were like tracers, that maybe that's all they did. But the more of an art skill that you have, the better it's going to help you as an inker. It's going to make you a better inker.
Do you think inkers should learn a little penciling before they start inking so they know like where things go, like stuff like that? Or do you think
basics,
or do you think maybe they should just like get a pen and just like print out something and blue line it, ink it? Like try that.
No, definitely. I think spend half the day inking stuff, and then the other half trying to draw stuff, or at least understanding form and shape. Underneath, some of the basics of art. So you don't necessarily have to understand storytelling or the hierarchy of composition or anything like that. You just have to really understand, like basic anatomy, basic form, shapes, light and shadow, because all that comes into play in inking.
Now, are you still inking Finch's stuff, or are you you tackle stuff here and there? Or are you mainly focused on your own thing?
Mainly focus my own thing now. I've branched off and become more than just an inker. Now becoming a full artist, a comic creator, an entrepreneur, and I've just moved into coloring. But I will still ink stuff for Dave, as he needs it.
I don't think I would say no to Dave.
I love his work.
Dude, he's a big favorite amongst the indie scene and the comic skate scene. A lot of people love Finch. Let alone, like, his work is amazing, but he's also a cool dude, So it just goes hand in hand. Like, I've said that a million times. A key thing in this whole thing is, like, don't be a douchebag. Don't be a tool. Like, be a genuinely good person, and people will recognize that, and your work will reflect it, too, So, So, you're a genuinely good person. It reflects. What's that, Angela?
No, I just have a question about inking. So I always just assumed the purpose of the inker was to focus on the artist and to bring out what the artist, what they created. Because obviously, like, someone's wanting a Kirby piece or whoever, that's what they're going for. But is it more about that, or is it about the piece itself, or does it matter? Do you have to go with what the creator expects?
Well, you always want to stay true to the artist's art style. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to be like poor Kevin Nolan. Like when his work got inked, you know, it sometimes it got overpowered by the inker. You know, often. Um, you know, there are those that, I mean, they're just really overpower, and you can see their style come through. Like Rudy Nebra, when he inked John Buscema, looked more like Rudy Nebra. Bill Sienkiewicz, whenever he inked anybody, it looked like Bill Sienkiewicz.
He'll
Takes it over.
Yeah, he'll take it over.
So you want to stay true to that pencil style, but it really comes down to, I guess, if maybe they were friends and they really didn't mind. But I know that if I did that with like Dave's work, Dave would have been like, okay, no, you're not inking me no more. You're turning this into something else.
Yeah, there's a reason why they pencil something the way they pencil it. They want it to be that way. And you're showing off some of your colored work here.
Yeah, I am a first-time colorist, never colored before, and
That's great.
I want to expand as an artist. You know, I believe as an artist, like I've seen, you know, like talking about Dave. Dave's a big influence. There have been people that have helped train me along the way, and Dave Finch is one of those people who has really taught me the business. He's got a good work ethic. So he's been a very positive role model for me. He's one of those people that just doesn't, in private life, when it's just me and him, he doesn't gossip about anybody, you know, and like you could tell he's happy in life, and he's successful. Like he don't have time. He doesn't do any of that. He just, you know, it's we joke up and talk about life, other things, the business, comics. I mean, and it's a really valuable relationship that I have there. I benefit a lot from just hanging out with a guy like that, you know.
Yeah.
Having
And
a friend
that's
like that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get it. You become friends with people, and sometimes, you know, sometimes, you know, you might clash as a friend and then you make up later or something like that. But if you just keep things in a business friendly orientation, like it's pretty much smooth sailing. You know what I mean? Because it's friendly business. You know, and that's it's more workable.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely have our days where we have a lot more fun. We have fun. We joke around. You know, we're two different personalities. So I mean, he's so comfortable enough with me. He'll let me know if I upset him. You know, he'll say something to me, and I just go, "Oh, all right, we're that comfortable now."
That's a healthy relationship.
Yeah, it's pretty good. He's a good guy, and
Oh, go on. No, I was gonna say, Luke says that learning to do everything yourself ensures that you always get your book done, which is very true.
Yes, one of the things I think on to become successful is always bet on you. So I came into CG, and one of the things that I would see where I would hear like conversations with, we've all heard it, so it's public. I mean, Ethan says, you know, people have gotten upset like, hey, you didn't promote my book, or hey, you didn't do, you know, where don't expect anybody to open the door for you. You know, you can't bet on somebody else for your success. You have to bet on yourself. You have to do this yourself.
Well, I was gonna say that's why, like, to me, it's not even comic related. One of the best advices I ever got was from John Malin, and he said, "Grow your own channel." And honestly, I mean, and we're all trying to do that. You're trying to do that. I'm trying to do that. Matt Barr's trying to do that. Like Luke's trying to do that. We're all trying to do that, because if we grow our own channel, and hey, I love coming on your show. I would love to be on Malin's or, you know, or Frega's. I love going on there. But if we grow our own, we have our own core audience. We can talk to our own people. We don't have to worry about promoting on other people's sites. It's good to get out there because you have different fans and stuff like that. But it's key to grow your own channel, and that's something that stuck with me. It's like it didn't stick with me for a while. For first, I thought, oh, live stream and you'll grow people. It's like you got to play the game with YouTube, and you know what it is. It's a videos, you upload, blah blah blah, and it's a grind. But it is fun once you get into this, and once you find something that sticks. You have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, grow your own channel was something that just, like, amongst all the art, you know, advice I've gotten, all the things I've learned, probably grow your own channel was the biggest one.
It's good advice.
It's good advice.
You know, Malin also told me early on, he said the mailing list is really important. Build a mailing list, you know. And I went, wow, that's some of the best advice
It helps build the hype. Is what it really does, and it also shows who's interested in your project, like and stuff like that. So yes, a mailing list is very important. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting your own book, one thing, if you have a YouTube, try to grow it a little bit. We're not saying to get like 5,000 subs right out the gate, but try to grow it a little bit, and then also, like Jimmy said, put out a mailing address and grow the hype. So it's very key.
And what else is important as well is networking. Networking is very, very important as well. I mean, you want to get to know and be around people that are successful and business minded.
The chat very important. Get to talk to people in the chat. That's huge in networking. Not only just the chat, but also in real life. Go to your comic shop, talk to people.
Definitely, networking is very important. But at the same time, though, it's okay to go on other channels because you get some cross pollination from those channels, or vice versa. But you definitely have to have your own channel, your own area where your fans, people that can that like your work, can follow you. Like a home base.
Yeah, and that's one reason why, like I told Jimmy, I'm trying to grow my channel to get that way. If I have a big audience, I can network with like people like Jimmy. I can have him on, and hopefully my audience I'll have different people, and then the network grows from there. They might go subscribe to Jimmy's channel. Link is in the description below. Go subscribe to Jimmy Reyes Art. And it just grows from there. A rising tide sinks all ships. You know what I mean? And I have fun with that, but it raises all ships. I joke, but yeah, and it does. Like, where Jimmy and I are friends. Even if I didn't like Jimmy, I want his channel to succeed and his book to succeed because that helps me succeed. Like it's just the way it works. Like it's business. You got to separate business and pleasure. And with business, I want Jimmy to do well, even if I didn't really care much for him. And but his artwork's great. His artwork's phenomenal. Look at the colors. That's off the gate. Like you didn't color anything before. Phenomenal. Like your channel, you give great advice. You have tutorials on inking that you go live with. Great stuff. Great content. You also help promote other channels, other books, other stuff like that. I'm all for that. So even if like we didn't get along, which we do, we're friends. But if we didn't, I still would want him to succeed. It's just the way it works because it helps me succeed. There is selfish reasons behind a lot of things. Usually people aren't truly altruistic. Like there is usually some sort of selfish motivation, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So, and this is dope. Jimmy did a great job coloring this so far. Like, you're not done.
No, I'm not. Yeah, this is just I laid the flats down, and I'm just starting the early phase of rendering. So there's still a lot more to go in this, and a lot more corrections, and a lot more different colors that I'm going to add within this, and I'm learning a whole lot. And for me, I've always been self-taught for everything. Although, I mean, I got to give credit. Like with inking, it wasn't like I just picked up a pen and started doing it by myself. I was fortunate enough that I lived next door to Salim Crawford, who was working for Wildstorm.
Ooh, nice.
And he was working at Wildstorm, and then he left California, came to Texas, and he was my neighbor. He actually moved in next to me, and it was really cool because I'd go and all I cared about at the time really was playing basketball. So I'd walk over there, stand with my basketball. Come on, man, hurry up! And I'd watch and I'd look over, and he was inking Tony Daniel at the time, the 10th.
Ooh,
he was inking the 10th.
Dude, I love the 10th. Great book.
He was inking Jim Lee. Not Jim Lee. Ryan Benjamin took over for Jim Lee on, I think, Iron Man, on the Heroes Reborn stuff.
Dude. Ryan Benjamin's great too.
Yeah, so he introduced me to. I got to meet Ryan Benjamin, Matt Broom. I got to meet a bunch of different guys that he was friends with. But it was Salim who really showed me the crow quill. He actually took the time to show me how it works and explain it to me how to control the crow quill. And I went, whoa, because I was inking Rapidographs for the first few years. And then it was because of him I went into the crow quill. He showed me all the tools, all the right ink. And then he made the big mistake that why we're not friends anymore is because he introduced me to Mike S. Miller.
Oh, the devil himself.
Yeah, so I became, I got to meet Mike, and Salim was inking him on Aquaman. And he said, hey, come on over. I'm going to go hang out with the penciler. It works for DC Comics. And man, I was super excited, big fanboy. Went over to go meet Mike, and Mike even showed me how to use the brush. Nice. So Salim showed me the quill and showed me what supplies to use, but it was Mike who showed me the brush, how to use the Kolinsky sable.
Nice.
And so I'm grateful for all that, regardless of however things are between me and Mike now.
Yeah, sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. But,
I'll never forget the people that have helped me to get somewhere, along the way.
Same. And speaking of never forgetting, I'm going to stop yours and I'm going to start this. Don't forget about Dragon Rage, everybody. Don't forget. Ooh. That's why we are here. We are here not only to, I could talk to Jimmy about what techniques you use, what inks you use, digital versus traditional. We could sit here and talk for literal hours. Because we love the nitty gritty. We love the approach to art and art itself.
Because we're not nerds.
We're not nerds. We're actually cool. But no, we're here to talk about Dragon Rage. And if you don't mind, Jimmy, I have your trailer. Do you want me to play? I mean, I have a trailer. Whatever trailer's on here is what I.
It's the second video on that.
Oh well, too late. I already have the other one.
Oh, okay. Well, this one is.
So we're gonna play that. You know what though? It helps promote the book. And what you kind of get with the book. So I'm gonna play that real quick here. That still helps promote the book. If you want, I can play the other one.
No, it's fine.
But
can you still get that?
Yes, it's still available. Luke says, "Beautiful box, Jimmy." That's a compliment I never thought I'd ever hear in my life.
I appreciate the angle of the derriere on the over the side, and it adds to the voluptuousness of it. I would say.
Yeah, and you can even flip it up and down and make it move, and as you're opening the box.
You do your thing,
So tell us, Jimmy. Give us the rundown on what Dragon Rage is about.
Yeah, Dragon Rage. I grew up a big fan of indie comics. I grew up with the Ninja Turtles. Of course, Image Comics was a bunch of entrepreneurs, guys that said, "I want to do this for me. I want to own a piece of the pie." So I've always wanted to be, I knew I was always going to own my own IP. So I started to think about what is it that I know? Oh, I don't know superheroes. I don't care for superheroes, and I don't want to fake it. People ask me, and I'll be honest. I mean, I didn't create a superhero because I don't really care for them. I mean, I love the anti-heroes. I love fantasy and horror. So I would either go with one of those. And I love the Savage Sword of Conan, all kinds of just anything fantasy. So when it came to it, I thought, I want to create something kind of sword and sorcery and medieval, and I want to do dragons, and I've never drawn a dragon before, So definitely, if you're going to draw a book, you definitely know how to. If you're going to draw a book about dragons,
you kind of want to know how to draw dragons.
Yeah, you kind of want to know how to draw a dragon,
Yeah.
And so Dragon Rage is a book about. It's in its own world. It's in a world that we've created. I've created, and my writer David Philpott is helping me out. And it's about a race called the Dragari, and they are a group. They're human, and they are able to capture the rage of a dragon. So imagine that dragons were real. Like we were living with dragons, and dragons all have a special ability. Some have telepathic powers, some can go invisible or whatever. And imagine that you could conquer this dragon, you kill it, and you can just like take its soul, kind of like Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat, just sucking sucking that soul, but you're taking its powers, soul sucker. And so it's taking in, you're taking the powers of that dragon. So if that dragon had telekinetic powers, you have that, as well. But not only that, I mean, imagine that you have the strength of a dragon, speed. You can live as long as a dragon. You're almost immortal. You have armor, the dragon scales and the armor on your body now, as part of your body. And so these guys are badass warriors. They fought for the monarchy. They protected the monarchy. They were, it's similar to like in the Christian church back in the day with the crusade, where the crusaders fought for the church, and then later were then hunted down by the church. They were disbanded and hunted down by those that they protected. So the same thing with the Drugari. They were at one time, they were hunted down. They were disbanded, and they were disbanded at one time. And now they're being hunted. So they're all different. They're all from different. They're in different factions now. Some are in hiding, and we get to meet these two. This is Thrago. Thrago used to guard the king. And now he's been disgraced. Somebody, basically he got like John Wick, he got excommunicado,
Right.
And so, but something he didn't even do, maybe, or maybe he did it. I don't know. You got to find out. But so he's kind of he's just drinking and going out with women, living life the right way, Yeah. No.
So does he have dragon arms? Or is that like,
yeah, he has dragon
scales? For a while,
scales.
I assumed that was like his armor, but
yeah, no, it's actual dragon scales on his flesh now that he can't no longer remove. It's part of him now, of all the Drugari, And Nuri's the one with the pink hair, and don't worry, I gave her pink hair for like punk. It was like rebel. It was rebellious.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like people think, blue hair, shaved heads. Like that was '90s punk rock. Like SOWs adopted it, but that's actually like pink hair and stuff. You were a punk rocker like back in the day. If you had
it was hard. It was hardcore. You were hardcore. You were really independent. You were like independent, rebellious, and before the crazy white chicks took it over. But,
Now, when they suck the soul of the dragon, when they get their essence, they keep it forever, or is it like a limited time boost? Like
no, it can be taken from them as well as how it was taken from the dragon. You can conquer them, and if you're a Drugari as well, you can take that power.
Can you compound powers?
You can, but it takes magic to do it, and it takes a certain way, and that's the crown of fire. That's what the title is. So someone now is hunting down the Drugari for their dragon rage. So somebody's now hunting them down, building a crown of fire. They want to be able to rule over all of the Drugari, be the most powerful, and they also want to be able to, with that crown, to be able to take down the last standing dragon, which is the king of dragons. Ooh. He's the only one that you can't take his rage, but with the crown of fire, it levels the playing field.
Hence the title.
How
many pages is this? Oh, I'm sorry. No, answer.
No. How many pages? How many pages is that?
It's 40 pages.
Oh, okay.
It's a 40-page comic, but it's a 36-page story.
Nice.
All right.
What were you going to ask, Angela?
So what was your influence in drawing dragons, or how did you...
Well, like what made me want to draw dragons?
Because you never drew dragons before.
So. Yeah, you said you never drew them, so what was your resource, or... So yeah, what did you use as a
for me, it was just, Game of Thrones, seeing the dragons in Game of Thrones and things. And I just thought, wow, how cool would it be to have a dragon in a comic book, drawn in the kind of image art style and the vibrant colors. I didn't realize the kind of challenge that was going to bring. Because,
I appreciate you took the challenge.
But I started to study because everything has to be grounded in reality, even in your art, even though we're exaggerating and we're creating things that don't exist. But you still have to base it in a little bit of reality so that we go, oh, cool. If they did exist, this is how they would look. This is how they would move. And so I did study and watch the dragons in, Reign of Fire, the movie Reign of Fire, Game of Thrones, of course, Dragon Slayer from the 80s.
Yep.
And then I thought, well, what animals in life can I reference? So I started to look at iguanas and bats.
Yeah. And
a bearded dragon?
Yeah.
I just studied everything. Yeah, bearded dragons are actually pretty cool. I would, but then I learned that they have salmonella, and you can get salmonella from a lizard.
I think there's a certain kind. Anyway, I don't know.
Oh, so I was like, I'm not taking a chance,
Salmonella-free dragon.
Yeah, that's what I need. Salmonella-free. Yeah, I want one of those. Like a range-free chicken. I want a salmonella-free lizard.
Nice.
and so I just kept drawing dragons over and over, and I've been drawing them since 2020 now for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And I think I've just now, in this book, and finally doing a decent dragon.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of sources out there, and you can draw from a lot of influences, and yeah, I mean, there's so many different types of dragons, like the way they're done anyway. Like I've always been a fan of Larry Elmore's versions of dragons from Dungeons and Dragons, Dragonlance novel covers and stuff like that. Phenomenal stuff.
Well, I didn't want to study artist versions of dragons because I want to make my dragons look unique, and I don't want to be influenced by the other artists' interpretation.
You kind of do it how I would picture dragons done. Like that's like there's some people that just like I'm not a fan of the Asian dragons and stuff of like no wings, no legs, stuff like that. I'm not huge on those ones. Yeah, they have short legs. So, but I kind of like the more stocky, like you said, like you look at an iguana or a Komodo dragon or something like that. That's the body type I picture a dragon to be, and so you captured it very well.
Yeah, a tetrapod is the way if dragons existed in. I'm gonna nerd out on you guys here. If dragons could exist today, they would have to be a tetrapod. So I see a lot of these dragons with 6 limbs, and a tetrapod has 4 limbs. We're tetrapods. Chickens are tetrapods, and so if a 6-limbed creature would be an oddity, can't exist in nature. There are no 6-limbed creatures like that have 4 legs and then have 2 wings on the back.
Right.
So you couldn't have that. But if you see birds and chickens, things like that, bats, they have 2 hind legs or 2 front limbs in the front that connect with their wings that connect to the rear back of their their thighs and stuff. So it goes back to what I was saying. You got to base things in reality a little bit so that people can suspend their disbelief and go, this is how this would really work in nature. So you add that and you put that in there, and it looks a nerd. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like you said, you looked at Dragon Slayer and all this stuff. Like even them, they're like the wings are connected to their hands. Like I mean, even I think it was like that also in
Rain of
Fire. I think so.
Yeah, they're wyverns, which is more of the Western dragon.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to nerd out more than you. I went to the museum in Kentucky.
Oh, you got a little muffled. Say it again.
Yeah, you got very muffled.
Oh, there's a museum in Kentucky called the Creation Museum, and they had a section, like when you started, about dragons and how potentially dragons could have been dinosaurs that survived the fall. So, just to chew on that, which I want to believe is true.
The word dinosaur was created in the 1800s by a anthropologist couple. They heard about the Chinese were discovering these large mammals, the fossils of these large mammals, these large reptiles, and they found the fossils. And so when they discovered them here in the U.S., they changed the name to dinosaur. But the Chinese have been discovering them for centuries, long before we did here in America, and they were calling them dragons. And the word dragon had always stuck around, but because in Western, like in King Arthur folklore and all that stuff, they had become known as more of a vicious kind of creature. So they wanted to change the name. It wasn't marketable, Right. So it's basically the same thing. You know what I mean? We some people argue like dragons aren't dinosaurs. Like, no, that was the same thing.
Well, look at pterodactyls. I mean, it's a flying dinosaur. You know what I mean? Which could be confused as people would be like, oh, well, they had wings, they were dragons. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see the juxtaposition there.
Pterodactyl is just one pteropod. There were more than just a pterodactyl, but
it's the most common one
common that people know. And there were those. There were some that looked like they had feathers, but it really wasn't a type of feather like we see on birds today. It was different, and they were colorful. Is what scientists are guessing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're speculating now that like all of them pretty much had feathers.
Yeah, but you're saying that's not the case.
Well, and my mother being indigenous tells me about stories of what the thunderbird was. A thunderbird was it was something that was real, that was seen by indigenous people here in North America, and they called it the thunderbirds because they would fly around the time when there was a lot of thunder and the storm was coming in, and they would just like glide around. But it was a pteropod, basically,
right.
And and they would call them thunderbirds and stuff. So man and what we call dinosaurs today, most likely, I mean, they were in the same timeline, you know. And I think that's where the whole story of dragons comes from. People,
yeah, and it is very possible
seeing something that they haven't seen. Like I mean, imagine like there's been people that have traveled from Europe and they come over to North America for the first time, and for the first time they see a large alligator and didn't know what it was. I mean, I think they would go, "Oh shoot, you know, this is a dragon."
Yeah, exactly. And even still, like the stories of dragons and stuff, they're everywhere. Everybody has a dragon of some kind in their culture or their lore, and that can go back to regular just dinosaurs, really. Like, I mean, it really can, because you discover these large bones of this giant skull-looking thing with teeth. Like, you're gonna picture something monstrous, and what was more terrifying than a giant monster in the sky? So
yeah,
it just makes sense. It really does.
And I think all the storytelling that we have and all the things that we're doing have all come from history, you know, somewhere. We've you know, stories and things that people have experienced, and so stories today about dragons. Yeah, we've added a lot of things and a lot of imagination and fantasy, but I believe that it all comes back from actual reality somewhere in history. Somebody saw something like a dragon and then gave their description of it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I'm laughing at this because this is kind of what I felt. It's not an offense. I just laughed because I was like, oh, I heard this thing when I went to this museum. And then you come and you're like, well, actually. And Arthur Brown says, I see your nerdness and raise you this geek fact. So I think that's fabulous. I was like, there's a word I'm thinking, and that's it. So yeah. But yeah, no, pretty much the chat kind of agrees with the reality of, like, you know, that could be possible, that they did exist as dragons.
I mean,
I want that to be true. They're so cool.
And it's like when Ethan and those guys tease me, you know, like, hey, you know, fake geek girl, for not knowing who Hawkeye was, you know, what his name was, you know. And I go, but you know what? I'm creating a comic book and writing about what I do know, you know, and what I'm actually into.
Well, and like
how long have you known? How long have you been studying dragons? How long have you been studying dragons? Like,
ever since Pete's Dragon, since I was a little kid, and Pete's Dragon was in the movies, and you know, even though it was a corny cartoon animated, but I'm talking about the animated one, not the remake. You know,
no, those are pretty cool though. I saw both. I mean, granted, I do like the animated more because that was my childhood.
Yeah, the animated one's really good.
I saw Dragons, went wow, and then Dragon Slayer came out in the '80s, and I just went, oh my god! Like,
Dragon Slayer is so good.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my god, dragons aren't just nice; they could kick ass, you know. And been in those for a long time. And
the baby dragons.
I do read a little bit on the you know, like on the D&D type of dragons. Like there's different type of dragons, different colors, very different strength levels,
different breath weapons, stuff like that. Yeah,
I try to stay away from the fantasy magic of dragons, and I try to think about more of the science, you know, of how dragons could have existed and if they did. Because, you know, if you think about like today in nature, a lot of the things that we hear about dragons, that dragons could breathe fire, we have things in nature today that actually, we have an insect that can actually spray out of 2 glands out of his booty, out of his rear abdomen in the back. He can actually spray out 2 chemicals that will actually reach the temperature of 110 degrees. And it's a liquid, and it will burn it's a self-defense, and it will burn anything that is trying to come and eat him, any kind of like lizards or bigger insects and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's really true. And if you look it up, there's also a flying lizard who can glide from tree to tree, and he's only about 3 inches, you know, big. He's small, but he looks like a dragon. And he can hop from one. It's in Indonesia, and I forget the name of the little lizard. But if you guys look up flying lizard in Indonesia, somebody got time to Google that. But you'll see him. He'll glide from one tree to another, and it's so fascinating. You know that. I mean, here are all these things. I mean, in reality, in nature. You know.
And we mentioned him earlier. We got Bar in the chat. What's going on, man? Make sure you go subscribe to Matt Barr's channel.
I love Matt Barr.
Yeah, he does
cool
Pre
guy.
Kings, dope show, just some drawing
yeah.
streams. So yeah. I mean, obviously you've done the legwork. You studied it. You know, yours is a little more. I don't want to say grounded in reality because it's not reality, but like it's more logically based. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, okay, I can see how they can make sense then if they were here. Like that's how they would work. So
well, I mean, I guess I should also clarify too. At the same time, you don't want to be too focused on basing everything on reality because you don't want to crutch.
Well, especially a fantasy book. You know?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's fantasy. You know, just let your mind go. You know, let it just whatever. And that's what I was doing for Dragon Rage as well. I just I drew a bunch of stuff that I thought was cool visually, looked amazing. And then I thought, oh my God, okay, I have to make a story out of this. And I came up with a basic plot and I started drawing out that plot. And then I handed it over to a friend of mine who's a very fantastic writer, Dave Philpott. And he then took that and made it a story. He gave it all history. He explains why these things happen. So there's no filler in Dragon Rage. And at least in issue number 1, there's no filler in it. Everything is there. We're setting up a great story. We also give you enough to feel full in issue number 1, you know, where you just go like, whoa, this new cheesecake, it was pretty good. Can't wait for more, you know.
Speaking of which, before we get into the tiers, how many issues do you plan on? Do you plan on like a forever thing? Do you have like a mini series or a maxi series planned? What do you have?
Well, this is my goal, like going back to being an entrepreneur. So I didn't get into comic books with the intention of, just for business. I got in this because I have a love for the medium. I love comic books, you know.
Right.
So I thought to myself, I want to own a business, and it's like I have all these material to build a house. What am I going to do? Well, I think I'll make a car. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. So what I know is comics. The skill that I have is comic books. So I want to make a business out of that. I want to make a living out of what I love to do. So I created an IP. And my business plan is, hold on, sorry, my dogs are wrestling each other. Hey,
oh, you're fine.
I got these two, a bully and a pit bull. And so I go, okay, this is my business plan here, is that I want to create an IP, of course, something that I love. I'm in the medium doing what I love to do. Create an IP. I want to build up an audience. I want to build up enough interest in it that people will then want to license my IP because that's where the money is. So I want toy companies to come to me and go, hey, we want to license this out for toys. We want to license it out for animation, things like that. Because, I'm not doing this with the intention of that. I mean, if it stays a comic book, well, it's what I love to do. It's the material that I had.
It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, I built a house. I can live in it. I love it. Right. But looking at creative people out there who have done things like the creator of One Piece, he made a stretchy pirate toy, then later turned it into a manga. Then he became wealthy when it became an animation. They got licensed out. Now it's a movie, and here it is, 15 years later. You know what I mean? Somebody created Hellboy. I mean, it was just a dude, Mike Mignola.
Dope comics, by the way.
Yeah, and it was a 4-page story in the back of Dark Horse Presents.
Well, no,
Next-Men. It started in John Byrne's Next-Men. That's right. You're right. It was first Next-Men, then it went into
then it went into Dark Horse Presents.
Dark Horse Presents. Yeah, and you know what I mean? It was small, and it was there, and that's what this is here. I'm starting out small, creating the comic book, build up an audience, build up a demand for it.
Right. Yeah. And so you're doing what you love either which way. Like if this stays a comic, it's not like you're going to be like, oh, boo-hoo, I love it. No, this is what you know, this is what you love. If somebody's like, hey, dude, this looks like a cool movie basis, I want to option it. It's not like you're going to stop like, oh, you got issue 1 of Dragon Rage, everybody. Congratulations. Now I'm doing the movie and then I'm never doing Dragon Rage again. Like, I don't think you're going to go that route. You're probably going to still do the comic because you could do both. Why not? So
I think as entrepreneurs, we everybody who's out there, we're all creating IPs, and I don't think sometimes we hear the people where what we've seen in like mainstream, where we've got guys in the mainstream that go, I'm just going to use
They want to use it as a platform
this
to get the
as
option.
a stepping stone to to be able to show like, oh, this is what potentially your movie could be. That shouldn't scare you from somebody who genuinely loves this medium and who you're created something that you love, that you're passionate about.
And that's the other thing. If you didn't love it, you're putting a lot of effort into it. You know what I mean? It's like it shows in the book itself.
So much
like
about Drake.
not only that, but like even the art and like you're learning how to color it. Like you're doing an insane amount of work. If you didn't love it, you're then just insane.
I would have quit. I would have quit a long time ago.
Or this would have looked like my 15-year-old nephew could do it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the two. So you obviously love this. This is a high quality product. The story's fantastic. You did your research. There's love in it, and it shows because you love comics, and that's what we love here. We love comics. So speaking of comics, let's go over the tiers. So you got your feature tier. I like feature tiers. Tell me about it, Jimmy. Wow, look at all this crap you get. Crap is a good word.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It's a compliment.
That was the Give Me Everything tier. And, people ask me, why did you call it Give Me Everything tier? Like, wow, that's just, and I go, well, that's the last words I heard my ex-wife tell the judge when we got divorced.
But I don't have that GIF, but
sorry. No, so the Give Me Everything Plus was actually created by backers. Backers said to me, because this was my first time running my own campaign, because I had a campaign back in 2020. Somebody else ran it. Someone else fulfilled it for me. And this is me doing everything. And I created all the tiers, and I didn't know that there would be somebody out there who would say, I want everything, but I don't want to pay individual shipping each time. Can you make a tier with everything? And I just pay that one shipping fee. And I went, sure. And I actually created for a guy named Ian. He messaged me, DM'd me on Twitter, and Ian, thank you. He's the guy that he said, hey, I want to back, but I want to back. I'm all in on this, And I said, sure. So I created for him, and he backed it, and then other people just kept coming in and backing it. And I went, oh my God, there's more people want it, so I left it up there.
Well, honestly, yes, we say it in a friendly manner. You get a lot of crap. Like for the price point, it's insane.
This is good crap, though.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like when I say crap, I don't mean bad. You can tell by inflection, what I mean. But you get a lot of amazing products for the price point's really good, dude. Like crazy good. And is this the only way to get the Finch cover? Wasn't there a David Finch cover?
Yeah, people asked me, why'd you put it behind a paywall? It's like, well, you got to remember, this is a business too.
Look at Kenneth Rocafort. Like each tier he had that was more expensive had more product to it. So it's a business. You're right.
If I'm asking somebody to invest $180 of their hard-earned money, especially during a time where there's a bit of a decline in economy right now, they definitely need to be getting more, or feel that they're at least getting the value. In this case, I mean, I feel that they're getting way more than $180 value here.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah,
just like put a cherry on top of that. I didn't even in there. It's not even listed or promised that you're going to get that Give Me Everything mailer box. That was something that I just felt, even after people already paid the money, I thought, you know what? I need to do something more for these people. I appreciate my backers, every backer, no matter what tier, what level you backed. I need to give something to my backers. And so I'm throwing in that box. I'm throwing in a poly mailer. So in that Give Me Everything, all your comics will come in a very, very nice poly box that I can grab here. I mean, a poly bag in that box. And then for those that back at any tier, I'm going to give you a free bookmark with David Finch art that he did of my character.
So look at that. You're going to get some Finch love no matter which way you back everybody. So, but I highly recommend the featured tier. This is a phenomenal deal if you can afford it. Don't make yourself go hungry or not pay your bills because of amazing comic books. You can get it later.
There's a tier for everybody, no matter
There's a tier for everybody. You are in demand, so if you come into some money later on, feel free to, go on in here and back that feature tier, which I would love to do, but Jason's money's tight as well. So let's go down the other lists here. We got cover A.
Yes, the primary cover. That's drawn by me. Thank you. Thanks.
That's like the same cover on the box, right? I'm noticing the girls.
Yes. Yeah. People really, really liked that image, and they asked for posters. And I asked a couple of my backers and said, "Hey, when I'm going to create this box, I'm going to give it to you guys free. The people that have backed the everything's here." I sent out a couple of emails to a couple of them, and they all said, "Well, we want that art on there, and then whatever else you want to put on."
Yeah, really very cool.
Yeah. And then this is cover B, I'm assuming.
It's the wraparound cover.
Ooh.
That one right there. I mean, that's the first image that I drew for this campaign, and I put all the characters together to kind of just give people a better idea of what to expect in the book. Like, what do these characters look like? What are their personalities? And so I put them all together in there in one, and I separated the. So what it is that the right side are those that believe that they are doing good, and they are mirrored by those that also believe that they're doing good, but I think the viewers would probably relate to them more as villains. So there's a yin and a yang on that cover.
Very clever, sir. I like it. I like that. That's a very beautiful done cover, sir.
If you think about it, there are two male warriors on one side and a female, and the same thing vice versa on the opposite side.
And that one has the dragon too.
Yeah, and there's two that are magic users on there. Yeah, and then of course it's Dragon Rage. Got to be a dragon.
I will say you do draw round things very well.
Yeah, thank you.
I admire
well,
your
Billy has said
things.
it's the sexiest female character in Comicsgate. So,
Billy Basco's giving me that award.
A big fan
he's like, hey,
ladies, and he's not wrong. I mean, they are lovely. Sir.
Thanks.
You draw beautiful ladies, and then you got another Reyes cover. Is that what it is?
It's Dave Finch.
That's a Dave Finch. Okay, so you can pick up the Dave Finch cover even without backing the everything tier.
It's a different cover. There are two Dave Finch covers. One is in the Give Me Everything. So when you're in the Give Me Everything, you get both Dave Finch covers.
Look at you sly dog.
So
the
when I backed it before it went in demand. So that cover is different than this cover.
Yeah, the
one
that.
To see which one I did. What did I get? Now I'm like, what one did I get? Is it the one with Is it with the main character and the girl? Is that the one that David Finch did?
No, that's me right there. But that's the Dave. Oh. So people were fans were our potential backers before that, and it was funny. It was like before anybody backed, they were all upset. Like, why is it in the $180 tier? I want the Dave Finch. So I was like, well, there's a second Dave Finch cover, and you can get that at the regular contribution price.
But if you back the all interior, you get both of them. You get both the bangs for your buck. And then later on, you can go to a convention in Texas, get Jimmy to sign it, meet David Finch, get him to sign them, and you have a great collector's item there.
This one right here that's in pencil, that's one that I would recommend. Just get it CGC graded because it is, 38 people back the Give Me Everything tier or something like that. Or maybe it's at 50 because there's another tier that originally I think had that in it. And then the Give Me Everything, I added the fire cover to it.
So, now the Give Me Everything tier, that's obviously going to stay up until the campaign is closed. So you can still get this cover. Yeah. You can still get this cover in the Give Me Everything tier. Like I said, don't starve to death. Please feed yourself. But if you can, save up, stop buying. Don't buy a steak here or there. I don't know. Save up, get that everything tier, and
settle for ground beef.
Maybe, and this isn't. I mean, I'm not giving it as a guarantee, but hey, if you invest in this cover. And it is the lowest printed David Finch cover, but he promotes it on his channel. It's well known. So it's not like so obscure that nobody's ever heard of it. People have heard of it, but it's going to be rare.
It's going to be rare.
Get it CGC graded, and then maybe, you could sell it later when it's
like I said,
bigger.
Wait, get it signed, then get it graded.
But now I'm thinking about getting the box because then I could get one to keep, and then I could get one to sell. So now I'm like...
That's how you do it too.
And then I could buy more steaks.
There you go. Yeah, later on you sell them, and it's like, hey, because Dave Finch. Having been his inker, I've had no problem selling his original art. When the pieces I got to keep, man, people were asking to buy them.
Hockey won an original Finch.
Wow! Actually. Oh yeah, from the sketch Monday Night Sketches.
The draw streams or something.
Really
Hockey won one. Yeah. What tier is this last one here?
This one is if you just want all the covers that aren't going to have the special covers. If you just want the 4 main covers that are offered, so it doesn't include the 2 Dave Finch covers.
There you go. So everybody get that featured tier.
And you get all the the main covers in there, and you have the whole set. But of course, if you want to get everything in there with posters, the Give Me Everything has the prints in there, which will have the main cover A with the girl sitting showing her booty. You get that cover, and I can't remember the other print. I think it's the wraparound. Yeah, that one, and I think the wraparound is the other print. So you have 2 prints in that Give Me Everything. Plus, you get the free bookmark. Plus, you get the mailer. And let me show you guys a poly bag that I just got. I'll grab that. Sorry to have it ready.
No, yeah. Like I said, if you can back it, I highly advise getting this. I mean, it's $80 more, and you get an insane amount more stuff. You get the box. You get that thing he's grabbing now. You get those David Finch covers. And I recently saw, my mom got the signatures to David Finch recently, so he is out there. He's signing. You can get your Finch covers signed. And like I said, you can meet Jimmy maybe in a Texas con. I don't know if he travels outside the state, and you get him to sign it too. All right, let's see what you got here, Gene.
My parole offer wouldn't like that. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have parole.
I was going to say, my brother's in Houston. I could probably go to Houston one.
Is it mukbang now? Come chewing? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
So
dinner's ready here, actually. Ooh, look at you with a thank you and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. Nice. Look at you going all out for the fans.
Yeah, so your comics will come in this. I'm sorry, my mouth is full. Your comics come in this.
It's okay.
For the Give Me Everything.
It's okay. That's how we're going to get viewers.
Polybagged. They're going to come polybagged. Not polybagged. They're going to come bag and boarded. And here's the box.
Ah.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Look at that.
Wow, that is, I love seeing it.
Look how big this thing is, too.
So nice.
Here's the David Finch bookmark that everybody who backs will get for free.
Oh.
Let's see, focus there.
There it goes. Nice. Look at that.
I'm not a bookmark person, but you know what? I could become one. That's
with the David Finch one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
start reading books.
It's high quality. It's real thick. It's rounded corners. Look how thick that is.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Oh, wow. Jeez, you can actually see. I can see it.
Paper now because of that.
Yeah, and it's with rounded corners, it's more style. It isn't one of those cheap. Well, we won't focus on there, but it's not a cheap. It covers up eyes. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I think maybe Jason can see it.
No, it's blurry on my end.
Oh, is it?
See it.
And then, of course, the box has all the artwork. It has all the characters in the back right here.
Yeah, see, put it so that we. There.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
It also has a spine on it, so if you want to put it on your shelf.
Oh, nice. That's clever.
Keep all your comics nice and safe in there. And then, like I said, all your comics will be in this thing inside the box, and your prints will all fit in there, and you'll have a Gemini bag and board. I ordered them from Gemini directly. So the campaign has made $32,000, and I've taken no money. I've invested everything back into the business, so it's all going back.
Jimmy does not like to make money, is what he's saying.
Well,
I get what you're saying. No,
I'm in this for the long run, and I know I will work hard right now. I'm working hard right now with very little money, so that later on I have more money. I have more money. Yeah.
So everybody helped Jimmy out by giving him more money and backing the feature tier. Yeah.
Let's go.
That way he can put more back into the book is what he's doing, and it's what we do here. We give it to the fans to make a cool product, and in hopes that it will then expound, so that way we could this is my life now. This is what I'm doing. This is fun. So so everybody. Go, it's pinned to the top of the chat. It's in the description below. So everybody, please go back Dragon Rage. I backed it. I didn't get the all in tier yet. Hopefully I can one day. But everybody go get that all in tier. Oh, what is that? Oh,
and so this is the that's the color work that I'm doing. That I want to learn colors. So with me, my friend asked me, and it was no joke. Remember, I told the story earlier on. When my friend said, "Hey, you should do comics," I had no idea I could draw, and I decided that, I can do anything I put my mind to, and I have. I've been able to do that. I've been able to self-taught as a penciler, self-taught as an inker. I mean, these guys out there, people have shown me tips and tricks. I pick it up right away, and I think the good thing is I have the drive to do it. And so now I want to learn how to color. So I've never colored before. And I've never even colored in Clip Studio. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. So I've been watching tutorial video after tutorial video, practicing. And here it is. I mean, I'm in the middle of coloring this. I've just started the renders. So this isn't the final color work. But I mean, I think it's already coming along pretty nice for somebody who has never colored. But so I believe, that we all can do anything that we put our minds to. All the creators that are out there watching that are first time creators or creating, your books and stuff, you can do it. It is a lot of work doing this, but you stick with it, and might feel like nobody cares about your book. I felt that way too, and I felt like, oh my God, like nobody cared about my book. I mean, here I am. I'm on one of the the biggest CG show in CG, and I'm not really getting much promotion time, and all that. And I could have just gotten discouraged and gotten angry, but then I thought to myself, you know what? Nobody owes me anything. I can't expect, because it's, I'm in CG, that the largest show in CG is going to promote me. I can't expect that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can only depend on you. And so, I stick with it. I just keep going, keep promoting. And I believe that everybody out there who's creating books, because CG has amazing books, dude.
There's a lot of crazy good books out there, dude. It's insane. And they just keep adding on like quality. Like the quality, I think now is far superior than it was 2 years ago. Like there was some bangers, don't get me wrong, but you could see some people weren't ready, maybe even I wasn't either. I don't know. But right now, like I see books out, I'm like, man, I want to back almost everything. This is crazy. I'm like,
that's how I feel. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much that I want that I wish I could be backing right now. Mm-hmm. But and I get to see a lot of these creators grow, and I I know that I know for a fact if you stick with it, and you're very disciplined, and you get rid of your distractions, because like sure it's easy to watch 4 hours of the latest cat video and trend on TikTok, or the latest gossip stream, or whatever. You could be doing that, but if you're a creator, you should be working on your craft.
You should be working on your craft. I caught myself plenty of times, like I'll be watching something. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I should be drawing right now. And so I cut it off, just because you zone out. But you're right. You got to have that drive. You got to just put it down, set aside, put on some music, put on a show you've seen 10 million times, and just pen to paper,
something that's not going to distract you.
And work.
Because there's time for play. You definitely have to take a break and enjoy some kind of distraction.
Without a doubt. But
you can't let it be hinder you or stop you from producing.
One great thing about even this is, like, let's say Bar launches up a lead poisoning stream and he sends the link out. You're not hosting at that point. You get the link. You could jump in, work on your artwork, promote at the same time, and have fun with a coworker, a friend, or an associate. Like you can just. That's what's great about this. Like, we have draw streams out there. You can host a draw stream, which you don't draw as much whenever you're hosting, but once you're on one, you could just have fun and just. Hockey's on sometimes, and he doesn't even say a word. He's just drawing sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and there's a lot of people who have, like, look at Dean has just come leaps and bounds. Like, if you look at Dean, the first Embrace book, it was good.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff he's doing now is just insanity. Like, I mean, like Luke, hockey, like, they've all just grown. I've grown as an artist, and I've been drawing for decades. So it's just, the more we do it, the better we get. So these books are just going to keep getting better and better, even with people who are already good. So
what's great about this movement, this community that we have here, is that we do have senior artists that are experienced, and we have a large group who are newcomers. But those artists that are experienced are easily accessible. You guys can ask any of these guys that have been, like Aaron Lopresti or Billy Tucci, who's been in the independent scene since day one of the in the 90s, and he's been pretty much independent since. These guys, you can ask them questions. Or
even look at David Finch. Like, I can't count how many times I'm watching one of his draw streams. People will ask a question on how to do something. He'll stop drawing, get a new piece of paper, and go over a tutorial real quick. Like, you could never get that in the past. Like, it's amazing what we have now. It's great.
And I see all these guys out there like Ken Throckfurt, out there, and I think even Narwhal kind of does everything in his book. And so, and Reni's done everything, pencil, ink, right, and color, some of her stuff. And I go, I want to do that. I want to grow as an artist. So the next phase for me wasn't only just to be a creator, an entrepreneur. I also now I want to try coloring. I want to.
Dude, I did lettering. I hate it.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, lettering.
I don't know if
I'll
you've
ever
done
do.
lettering, but yeah, even I've tackled that, and I never did it before. Whenever I did Absolute, and I never got a complaint about it. So to me, I did an okay job in that regard. But yeah, but you're not wrong. We can do anything. Like, it's Back to the Future. Anything you put your mind to it, you could accomplish anything. And it's
Yeah.
true though. Like, I wanted to learn lettering. I watched a lot of tutorials. I went to certain websites. I downloaded fonts. I learned what to do, what not to do. And
you're like, I went to a lot of websites, downloaded a bunch of videos, and then I went to those tutorials for channels for coloring. I mean, for lettering.
Yeah, I mean, I did though. I did go to the tutorial channels for lettering because
No,
I
I
had
was
no idea.
I was saying you were into the adult websites. I was saying I ruined the joke. I ruined the delivery over here. Yeah, my dog put his nose on me, and I got distracted in the middle of my delivery. He's frozen. Oh no, Angela, are you there?
Yeah.
There I am.
All
There
right,
I am
we'll run it.
back.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Man, I was like,
There we go.
I was
No,
like,
how dare you?
the patients
dare
are
you.
running the asylum now. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know what-
exactly.
go crazy.
Anyway,
No,
that's what I did for zoning out for 2 seconds.
this is the longest get to know your creator we've had. This is fun, man. This is what happens when you have a great time.
This is
thanks.
fun.
I mean,
Have fun
and it
too.
is. Like I said, honestly, dude, we can go for an insane more amount of time being like, hey, what do you tackle this? Or how do you do that? What do you feel about this?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've streamed together for a while. We know each other's vibes. We know each other, like, we have fun. And it's a lot of great fun. I like to keep these at an hour. We've gone a little bit over. And that's fine, though, because we got a lot of info, dude. We got to get to know you. We got to know your back history and, like, where you come from and
Yeah,
your techniques
totally.
and stuff like that. So, and we got to know more about Dragon Rage. Link is
Yeah.
at the top of the chat and in the description below. Angela, do you have any questions for Jimmy?
No, I do appreciate this book. I can't wait for it. I'm just so excited. I mean, even more learning more about the story behind it. And yeah, I just appreciate how CG itself has kind of taken over, like with the mainstream media or, our main two or whatever entertainment providers have kind of let us down. I feel like CG stepped up, and this is just one of those books, a part of that I'm really looking forward to. So
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, CG definitely is filling a hole that the mainstream has left, out there. And then for those of you that are interested in becoming creators and you want to be a part of CG and you want to create something, think about the areas that CG has not filled yet, and look for that. And so for me, it was fantasy. There weren't, at the time when I created Dragon Rage, there was no fantasy book in there. And then Rini came along, and then
It killed
Kozor
everybody.
and, killed everything, man. It took over.
Scene, dude.
Yeah,
Irene's great.
But and now there's more fantasy. But that's the thing, I think, is to find
Goblin Girl. Yeah.
Goblin Girl. Yeah, find something that see where CG is kind of lacking in, or hasn't branched out yet, and create something in that area. I think. Oh, and Groken came out too. Groken was great.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Western,
Frog
sci-fi.
G, I think, is one.
Frog G would definitely go fantasy.
Frog G's kind of a fairy tale type story.
Yeah.
Absolute was like sci-fi meets fantasy. There's a lot of
I
genres
still consider
out
it
there
all
now.
under the fantasy genre, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. And you mentioned CG, and if you don't know CG, don't go online and look at the Wikipedia, please. Go on, go to the creators, go to these YouTubes, see what they're like whenever they're either live streaming or doing a video. There's many facets to Comicsgate. There's many. I view CG, and the meaning of it to me is different than what some other people mean it to me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different definitions, but we're still under that indie Comicsgate fan service umbrella. We want great comics, fun comics, nothing injected politically, really, no ideology, just like a lot of fun and fan service. Like, we're here. Like, I loved it. And I still love the analogy hot dog salesman. Like, we want to sell you some hot dogs. We want them to be good hot dogs. So, but yeah. So like I said, don't go on the Wikipedia, please. You're gonna get terrible definition of what it is. Like I said, look at Jimmy. Jimmy's in Comicsgate. he's a good dude. So, I mean,
Thanks.
just because it's the CG monikers, there's some people associate it with evil. It's not. Like,
I mean,
I can mention
say
any.
that, like,
No, I was just going to say I
CG's
can mention any
Yeah.
any religion, any facet, anything. I can point out bad people in it, just because
That's
a few
true.
bad apples don't spoil the whole bunch. So everybody, yeah.
CG's the cracker that basically is carrying your book. So
Did you
like
just call
your
me a
peanut
cracker?
butter, if you're no, I said CG is. Oh wait, never mind.
Did you hear
Maybe I
how
shouldn't
my
say that.
co-host talks to me, Jimmy? She calls me.
I just
cracker.
totally said. I just
She
how about
calls
the
me
tortilla
cracker.
chip?
She
Or-
said,
no,
"Oh,
no,
okay,
She
no,
called you a
good."
tortilla chip now.
No, she's like,
Wow.
CG's got a bunch of crackers and tortilla chips. I'm like,
Wow, the racism
wow.
coming out of Angela.
Man.
But
And-
all right,
not.
that was a good example of what Comicsgate is. Though we were joking, obviously, we were having fun.
No.
Great example.
Yeah.
Of Comicsgate.
Thank
It's
you.
fun.
Thank
We
you,
have a good
Jason.
time here. We have fun here, as Billy says.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have one last question actually for you, Jimmy, before we hit the end stream button. If you could work with anybody, living or dead, in comics, who would it be?
Ooh, man, my favorite is Rudy Nebra. I definitely...
Broody never. I'm unfamiliar.
Never
he-
heard
he-
of this.
He did a lot of Vampirella for Harris,
Oh,
Warren,
okay.
Warren Magazine. He also inked a lot of John Buscema.
Okay,
And
now I know.
Rudy Nebras. Yeah, he's a Filipino artist. I think he's in his 80s now. But
Still alive.
man, he's
Still a
alive.
possibility.
Yeah, I want to. I don't even own an original piece from Rudy. I got to get one. Before he passes and the gold
Yeah,
price
before
goes
the
up.
increase in value.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, but that's
Great
definitely
answer.
somebody
Yeah.
I'd want to work with. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I never heard it one before, so nice. I like getting those original answers. Everybody, we were honored to have Jimmy on. Please go back, Dragon Rage. Link is pinned to the top of the chat in the description below, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Also, go back to RG, blah, blah, blah.
And I'd like to thank Henry Bemis and Flying Feline for being mods today.
Appreciate you guys. Hail.
Oh,
Thank you
nice.
very much.
Also, Aaron LaPresse this evening, but I think Frag Boom is October.
Is Fragtober
That's-
starting today?
Fragtober. So I think he's still streaming right now. And then Aaron is streaming this
We're
later
over-streaming
tonight
Frega.
at
Nice. Yeah.
5. But he's having Kevin Grevio on.
Grievous.
I believe he's the actor from from Blaze. Wait,
Yeah. No,
I-
he's Underworld. Yeah.
Underworld. Oh, Underworld.
Who's having him on? Aaron
I-
LaPresti is?
I just
Oh,
totally.
Aaron
butchered
Lepresti. I worked
that.
with Kevin.
Aaron Lepresti is going to be having him on. This
I
is
did
the
a I did a book
5
with
o'clock.
Kevin back in
Pacific Standard
2007.
Time.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Well,
awesome.
there you go. You got a few streams to pick from everybody. Me personally, I love Aaron, but I'm a dude. So I would be watching Frag in Fragtober. But
Awesome.
yeah. So hey, open both those windows and watch them both. Give them the watch hours.
Same time.
Thank you,
it sounds-
everybody. Hail the mods. Was that Ink
Hail.
Spots?
No, Rick Saylor's in the chat.
Oh, hail Rick Sailor. Hey, Rick, I hope you've been watching the whole time. We like Rick
He's
here.
say-
He's a big supporter.
He's on right now. I watch people who ain't years late. Oops, I said that out loud. I didn't read it. I should.
All right. I'm going to hit the buttons. Jimmy, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks for joining.
Long day